What's the most petty thing a neighbor has done to you? Stole the windshield wipers off of my car. I caught him on a security camera stealing them one night. Next day I went over to his house and told that some lowlife stole my damn wipers. The look he gave me was priceless. Don't think he liked me calling him a lowlife. After I told him I had him on video, he goes, "Fine, take them back," and that was the last time I spoke to him. That's so weird. Who would want used wipers? They aren't even expensive. It's not about the wipers, it's about effing you over next time it rains and you turn your wipers on. No, you don't know about the underground used wipers business. Big money moves from side to side with those things. Some people got wiped out for snitching about this, so be careful. Stole my trash bin because theirs got repossessed for lack of payment. Dumb asses thought I wouldn't know it was them. Trash collection company took my old trash bin away from them, gave me a brand new one, and gave me a credit for having to deal with all this bull crap. I had an butthole neighbor who would skim the dead bugs, dead frogs, and debris from his pool and dump them in my yard. I found out when I had a tap 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 noise and looked over to see him reaching his pool skimmer over his fence to knock the rotting stuff into my yard. So later, when I found dog crap in my yard, I picked it up with a shovel and yeeted it over the fence into his pool. A dorm neighbor was a huge dick and didn't care for anyone in the suite. So he did something like tip over his subwoofer, turn the music up, and left for the weekend. The entire crew could feel it from our beds. I guess he didn't know that RAs have keys to the rooms. Maybe he also didn't know that you could get ejected from dorms. F you, Bosco. You turd. A roommate did this during midterms in college with an annoying video clip. She set it to loop for 14 hours at max volume on her laptop and hooked up speakers before leaving for the day. She'd locked it, so I couldn't turn the noise off. She'd even thought to do something to disable the power button. So, I pulled the battery out, waited 10 seconds, and put it back in. Blissful silence. Unfortunately, there was a lot of unsaved work on that laptop. I'm still stunned someone would plan to leave their classwork for 16 hours without saving it, but would think to change the power key to make it harder to stop the noise. She was randomly assigned and the only person I've ever known who has had their coworkers stage a surprise intervention at their home to ask them why they were such an butthole and how bold this change. It was seriously 15 people all trying to figure out how to get her to stop being so indiscriminately nasty. 2 years ago, my husband and I had just bought our first house. I was so excited to finally have flower beds, so I bought 5 purple tiger rose bushes and went out every day to tend to them. Our next-door neighbor came over one day while I was watering my roses and decided to be a creeper. Asked if he could give me his number, started asking probing questions about my schedule like how long I was home alone, and kept hitting on me. I turned off the water and went inside, locked the door and called my husband because now there's a strange man walking through my yard that knows I'm home alone and won't accept my boundaries. My husband came home and met the neighbor's wife in the driveway to explain what happened and how the guy was out of line. Didn't see the guy again, but within days my roses started to shrivel up and die. I tried everything, but I'm pretty sure he sprayed them with plant killer. Karma's a bitch though, because he got fired for sexually harassing a customer shortly after and his wife booted him out of the house. I live in a townhouse that has an adjacent townhouse on either side. The neighbors on one side are absolutely fantastic. About 2 years ago, there were renters on the other side, where the adult male living there was some sort of tradesman who regularly left for work at 4:40 a.m. Whenever he left, he would slam his front, metal, gate closed, which would regularly wake me and my 4-year-old daughter. The gate is only about 10 meters from our bedroom windows. I wrote a very polite note, explaining that it was a problem and asking them if they could please close their gate quietly. To his credit, he started leaving via the other exit. About a month later, it was becoming clear that my front lawn was increasingly covered in dog poo, so I set up a webcam to see where it was coming from. Very quickly it became clear that these neighbors were regularly opening their gate, letting the dog out to do its business, and then return home, with no attempt to clear it up. I approached him one early evening as the dog returned home from its defecation excursion, and, again very politely, asked him and his wife to stop letting the dog leave its business on my front lawn. They denied it, despite the fact that I had just caught the dog in the act, and told them that I had video evidence of what their dog was doing. That absolute butthole decided that every morning he left for work thereafter he would literally slam his front gate using all his strength. Some people are human garbage. Thankfully they moved out only a couple of months later. We had our lot assessed, and they put stakes in the ground on the property line. She pulled them up and moved them 2 inches over. It was very noticeable because they also made a small spray-painted line along the stakes. I guess she didn't think we would notice that the stakes were no longer on the line. I was at this neighborhood treasure hunt when I was around 11. It was in a big park with lot of trees and rocks, parking lot and a community center next to it. Me and my neighbor's kid both figured out final clue and sprinted towards the finish, only for me to accidentally bumped by his dad and fall. Still, salty about it till this day. I had a neighbor who literally thought she owned the actual street and had some big beef with my landlord. She'd sued him several times for things that never made any sense. My landlord installed cameras because she took him to court so often, and he needed proof that she was making stuff up. She would mark down the time that I or any friends of mine arrived at or left my house and would sit in her driveway watching us. Once, my landlord was going out of town and told me I was welcome to use his grill and have friends over. He lived next door to me. I did so, inviting maybe 5 friends, max, and we had a nice, mellow cookout. No loud music, no drunken debauchery or anything like that. True to form, the nosy neighbor called my landlord and told him that she was calling her lawyer and threatening legal action over our small party. Thankfully my landlord had footage of our gathering and deemed it all totally fine and completely within the bounds of what he'd invited me to do. She sucked. F you, Sandra. My neighbor would put on house music at loud volume, for his stereo, then leave for the night. It was mildly annoying in certain parts of my home. So I bought some Serwin Vega 15s, and played the same song back. Literally the same song, over and over and over. While I went on vacation for 4 days. I'm not sure who was the bigger dick, but we both stopped doing it after that. Later when he was throwing a party he asked if he could use my speakers cause they loud as F. Edit, whoa, lots of love. For anyone wondering, they were AT100s like these. Vega makes good-ish. Highly recommend. Web link. We were sort of that neighbor a few years ago. We were in the process of building our new house and had everything staked out before any of the groundwork started. I guess our neighbor thought we were too close to their property and had some city official come out to measure and in the process delayed our contractor. Turns out we were 1 foot further away from their property than necessary, and so, without even bothering to ask, our annoyed contractor picked up all the stakes and moved them 1 foot closer to the neighbor. Ooh, this is my time to shine. Had a neighbor who was old and had bipolar episodes. My neighbor changed the locks on our communal door, which only allowed access to our flat and her flat, yet refused to inform us that she changed the locks. She then refused to answer the phone to us or let us in, then called the police on my partner when he broke in for breaking and entering. Also, tried to get us to pay for the new keys. Same neighbor called the police on me when I was in the bath. I don't know what she said to the police, but answering the door to armed police whilst in a towel was not fun. Her reasoning for calling the police is that she thought I was being attacked and wouldn't answer the door when she knocked. I didn't hear her knock, and I was in the bath the whole time, so unsure what exactly she heard. Same neighbor also called the fire brigade to our property twice, claiming we had purposely started a fire in our flat. Both times my partner and I were at work and had to come home to check that there was in fact no fire. We couldn't get Wi-Fi installed in our flat, top floor, but our neighbor, bottom floor could, so we shared the Wi-Fi bill 50-50. Neighbor would turn the Wi-Fi off if we pissed her off, if she went away for a few days, if she wanted to spite us. She would change the password and then demand more money from us to change it back. When she moved out, we cleared out her flat and found letters from the internet company. She literally took our money but never paid the actual bill. I don't know why they let her have internet for so long, but alas. Same neighbor filled up our own outside bin, then called the council to complain we were overflowing our bin. The council believed her and provided an enforcement notice for causing waste in a communal area. Also, not petty but proves how much of a dick she was, my partner asked our landlord for a private postbox as our post and takeaways kept getting stolen, from the building with only 2 flats in. Landlord said no because only us and the neighbor live here. Neighbor denied ever stealing our post and takeaways. Said neighbor was then arrested a week later for selling fraudulent tarot readings online, but when the police arrested her they also found my partner's bank card, which we assumed just never got delivered, and many other items that were addressed to us. Police did not prosecute because apparently could not prove that she actually stole them even though they were in her flat. F you, Jane. People in the building were complaining that he didn't pick up after his dog. All the apartments except mine were accessible behind a security door. Mine opened right onto the porch. One day I came home from work and saw he wrote this huge note in thick Sharpie that said, "Clean up after your dog." He must have told the neighbors it was me, and left that note so that they could all see it really was me. To prove his point. Except it wasn't me. It was him. Had a weird neighbor. Friendly at first but slowly got colder and colder. They had the same landlord as us. We were going to have a neighbor's backyard party with us, the neighbors on both sides and the neighbors across the alley. Only the weird neighbor declined. Everyone was bringing something, beer from across the alley, sides from most of the others. We were hosting, so it was our job to grill some brats and host in the backyard. Had the charcoal grill fired up and put some store-bought wood chips on at the end to give the sausages a smoky flavor. I'm stepping out of the kitchen with a big tray of raw meat when a firefighter pokes his head over the back gate. Firefighter: "Hi, we've had a smoke complaint that you are burning trash or yard waste?" Me: "God, I hope not, I'm not that bad of a cook." Firefighter: "May I come in and look at your fire?" Me: Okay, let me put down this tray." I let the guy in. He looks at our charcoal grill. Firefighter: "Did you put anything other than charcoal and lighter fluid in this?" Me: "Yeah, some of these wood chips from the grocery store." Firefighter: "I hate to say this, but the city has an ordinance against any organic matter other than charcoal in grills." Everyone: "What?" Firefighter: "Yeah, it's a dumb law and almost never comes up unless you are really burning yard waste or if you have a neighbor who has it in for you. I won't give you a citation, but I do have to stand here and watch to make sure the fire is completely extinguished before I go." Me: "So I can't grill these dogs?" Firefighter: "I'm afraid not." I proceed to take the tray of raw meat into the house, pop them in the oven to broil, and come out to hose down my grill until the whole thing is cold and wet. The firefighter left with an apology and thanked me for not getting mad at him for the bad news. Only one person within 6 houses wasn't there, and I don't think any of my guests called the FD on our own party. He had a tree in his yard that threw a lot of shade on my side, which eventually killed everything that was growing there. So I spent a lot of time and money to plant a beautiful shade garden. He watched me the entire time, asking questions about the plants and how much they cost. The following spring, he cut the effing tree down. I got to the last bit and got pissed on your behalf. What a grade A asshat. Mine was a downstairs neighbor, and they would constantly switch the dryer plug to our outlet to charge our unit for drying their clothes. When I was a kid, my brother and I were playing catch in the yard. Our ball ended up in the neighbor's yard, nowhere near the house, like 5 feet into his grass, and I went to get it. He comes running outside yelling, saying, "If I ever see you on my grass again, I'm calling the cops." No kidding. The whole "get off my yard, kid" thing. This happened to me as a kid, but with an opposite outcome. The elderly Polish lady, who didn't speak English and I now realize was lonely, caught me sneaking over the fence, dragged me inside for lunch. It was the first time I'd eaten anything besides bland meat and potatoes. So, I'd purposely kick my ball over the fence to get some of those awesome pierogies. My mom caught on a couple weeks in and apologized, explaining that they did indeed feed me, but eventually everyone just accepted that me and Mrs. Z would have lunch every day. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.